What's going on, everybody? It's ETAPRIME back here again. Today we're going to be taking a look at the emulation performance of the all-new Google Pixel 6a. So I've actually been really excited about the release of this device. I'm a huge fan of the Pixel phones, like a lot of people are, and I love seeing these cheaper variants. So this is actually coming in at half of the price of the 6 Pro, $449, and it's using the same SoC, so we should see basically the same performance, but it's been a little while since we took a look at any performance on the 6 Pro on the channel, and optimizations have been had with this new Google Tensor processor. So what I've seen so far out of this device actually looks really good. Here's a quick comparison between the Pro and the 6A. As you can see, it is coming in much smaller. I've got the chalk version, so it's chalk white. I kind of wish that the Pro was in chalk white and not this kind of, beige color. But they've kept the same basic design, and one thing that I really do like about the 6A is that camera bump is a lot smaller, giving us, kind of a smaller profile phone. When it comes to the display, we've got a 6.1-inch OLED. I personally think it looks really good. It's only 60 Hz. We don't have any 90 Hz or 120 on this device, and they really did that to keep the price down. But when it comes to the specs of the 6A, for the CPU, we've got that Google Tensor processor. This is an octa-core CPU. We've got two X1 cores running at 2.8 GHz, two A76 cores running at 2.25 GHz, and four A55 cores running at 1.8. The GPU here is a Mali G78 MP20, which does put out some really good performance. 6 GB of RAM, 128 GB of storage, but unfortunately they do not offer a micro SD card slot on this device. A 6.1-inch OLED display at 1080 by 2400. Stereo speakers, Wi-Fi 6E, Bluetooth 5.2, a 4,410 mAh battery with 18-watt fast charging capabilities, and we're running Android 12. I mean, the Androidiest of Android that you can get, because it's a Pixel phone. Now, before we check out some emulation, I did run some benchmarks here. First up, we've got 3D Mark Wildlife, 6,585. Geekbench 5, single core, 1,055, multi, 2927. Not too bad. And finally, we've got Antutu with a 673,169. So obviously, it's not on par with something like the Snapdragon Gen 1 or the Gen 1 Plus, but it's still putting down some really great performance for the price of the 6A. But with that out of the way, let's go ahead and jump right into it, and we're going to be starting off light here with some Dreamcast. So I'm using Redream. We're at 1920 by 1440. I'm sure we could go a bit higher because everything that I've tested so far does run at full speed. And by the way, the controller I'm using right here is the Razer Kishi 2, USB Type-C, fits this phone perfectly fine. It's actually one of my favorite controllers right now. But yeah, when it comes to Dreamcast on this device, you're not going to have any issues with it. If you want to run Flycast or Redream, you'll have a really good time with it, and you can definitely upscale these games. Moving over to PSP, and real quick, I just want to show you, I'm at 10x resolution with this game here. We're using the OpenGL backend, and with the easier to emulate stuff, 10x is no problem for this device. It's way overkill for the screen's resolution, but I just wanted to show you that it would do it. And I'm using OpenGL with this first game because for some reason with Mali GPUs in this specific game, the text is missing on the main menu, which is a bit odd, but for the next game here, Chains of Olympus, I went to Vulkan, we're at 5x, and we're getting amazing performance. I'd kind of suspected that PSP was going to run really well on this device. We've got more than enough CPU power, and with that 20-core Mali GPU, upscaling PSP works out really well. And even with this game, we could probably go up to 7x, but like I mentioned with that first one we saw at 10x, it doesn't make much sense given the screen's resolution. Taking it up to Gamecube using the official Dolphin emulator. This is actually the development build from their website. Now, if you wanted to use MMJ or MMJR, you always could, but I like testing it with the official build just to see if it would run. And something like Automodalista here at the native resolution using the Vulkan backend does run at full speed. I was actually really impressed by the performance here. I did try 720 with Automodalista, but it just wouldn't handle it. We were dipping a bit. But with easier to emulate GameCube games, you can go up to 720. Here's Hit and Run at 720p, Vulkan backend. And in the past, I've had issues emulating this game on ARM devices, but I guess with the recent updates to Dolphin, they've now made it possible, and we can even upscale. And as a lot of us already know, the Dolphin emulator also does Wii games, so I figured we'd go ahead and test a couple of those out. Here's Sonic Colors, native resolution, again, Vulkan backend. I've just had much better luck with the Dolphin emulator using Vulkan on this device, and I'm sure you'll run into a few games that might benefit from using OpenGL over Vulkan, but for what I've tested here, that's exactly what I'm using, and it does work very well on this Mali GPU. Even Capcom vs. Top Sunoco runs at full speed, so when it comes to Gamecube and Wii on this chip or this device here, the 6A, you'll have a really good time with it. Now, a lot of this stuff did have to be set to the native resolution, but there are games that we can upscale to 720p. Checking out some 3DS emulation using Citra MMJ. Now originally I tried Citra from the Google Play Store and performance was not great at all, so I figured I'd go ahead and test out MMJ, and it definitely made this more than playable. I mean, we're getting great performance here. Here's DOA, Dimensions. I was surprised at how well everything worked using MMJ versus the official build. I mean, it's night and day coming over to this build of it. So yeah, if you're looking to emulate 3DS, I would highly recommend using this version, at least on the Pixel 6a, or even the Pixel 6 Pro. It just seems to work much better with these Mali GPUs. And of course, we had to test out some PS2 on this device. I'm using AetherSX2, Vulkan backend, and with God of War, I could really only get it to run at full speed at 1x, no matter if I was using the Vulkan backend or OpenGL, but there are games we can upscale here. Checking out Gran Turismo 4, Vulkan backend, 3x resolution, running really well. But this is a game that actually works very well with AetherSX2 on lower end devices, even upscaled, so I suspected we'd get great performance out of it. And I've got one more here for PS2, Ratchet & Clank, we're at 1x. And keep in mind, with all of the stuff that I tested in this video, we're in safe mode with AetherSX2, which means we don't have any skipping going on. All of this stuff can be used in unsafe mode if you don't mind skipping, and you can upscale most of these games, but you will have that frame skip going on, and it's something that I personally just don't like. Overall, really impressed with the performance here of the 6A when it comes to emulation. I've also been really impressed with the Android gaming performance. If you're interested in seeing a video like that, just let me know in the comments below. I can whip something up. When it comes down to it, this is not meant to be a gaming phone, but a lot of people who want to pick up a good budget Android device will be doing some gaming on it, and I really do like testing it out. And I'm actually really enjoying using the 6A. But that's going to wrap it up for this one. If you're interested in learning more about the 6A, I will leave a few links in the description. And if there's anything else you want to see running on this device, just let me know in the comments below. But like always, thanks for watching.